Hi, I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Andrew Moran, Sarah Calgill, Jeff Charles, and Scott Cosenza. And this is the Conservative 5, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. As time drags on with this administration, the anti-gun psychosis is building. States are going rogue. Laws passed, laws rescinded. It's just a hot mess out there if you're trying to keep up with the latest. And it really is hard to keep up, especially when the ATF just enacted the most punitive anti-gun rule in a generation. And I'm not exaggerating here. We have Scott D. Cosenza, our legal eagle, to explain.
It's a hot mess. Let's take the ATF rule first. The ATF rule says that a common accessory to the tune of just under 10 million, I think, is the latest in terms of estimates that people have, called a pistol brace, is actually not what they said it was earlier, and requires a special regulation similar to what goes on when somebody tries to register an actual machine gun. And people have 3 months or 120 days from when they announced the rule to either register their guns, destroy them, or turn them in if they have one of these pistol braces.
Pistol brace to show us, or can you explain?
Lisa, I can't. How dare you suggest that I would possess something like this?
He had one, but he lost it in a voting accident.
I'm reporting on this matter. I don't have any personal experience with these things.
Explain what it looks like.
Basically, it is a miniaturized sort of stock, and they started off as an aid for handicapped people who only had the use of one arm or maybe partial use of their second arm, for them to be able to actually kind of strap the firearm to their forearm or their wrist and stabilize it. And it was cool. It's a small way to have a big caliber gun, and it is tactical. It's the newest and greatest thing, and the market responded by buying these things in leaps and bounds. And
you've seen them in former times. You don't, of course.
And to be clear, that the ATF wrote letters to gun manufacturers. Gun manufacturers, the rules are so dense, and they're not laws; they're typically rules, right? They're part of the Code of Federal Regulations that the ATF basically decides what goes and what doesn't go. So these firearm manufacturers, they send in a plan. They say, we'd like to manufacture this thing. Is this okay? Does this comport with our current laws and regulations? And the Firearms and Technology branch of the ATF responds and says, yes, it's okay. You can manufacture and sell this. It's legal today to do so. They do it. And then exactly right. And it's outrageous. We also have had a spate of, it's the new year and the new legislature, and there's lots of new laws that have come on board that are, hostile to gun owners. Basically, if you look at the, in the deep, I almost forgot there is a deep red or deep blue. In the deep blue states, that's where these things are happening. And we've had 2 rulings from the Supreme Court, one this week and one last week, and both of them have declined to act to block these new rules on an emergency basis. Now, one of them was accompanied by a note by Justice Alito, agreed to by Justice Thomas, and they basically said, hey, don't get excited. This isn't about whether we think these are good laws. We're just letting the process play out, which I think is a positive thing, that the Supreme Court is less likely to act on their emergency docket and more in regular order. So that's sort of where things are in a nutshell.
Now, Sarah, we're not going to say for security reasons where exactly in red country you are, but you are in red country. And
Deep red.
How is this going down?
Not well.
Is everybody aware of it? I mean, is this?
Oh, yes. I may live in Hooterville, but I have a bunch of educated rednecks around me, and I can tell you this: they're very 2A strong, and they follow everything that's going on. They also like to follow, especially Scott, when it comes to the gun issues, or Jim on Liberty Nation. They are in tune with everything that's going down. And even the 1 or 2 liberals in our area, which couldn't really be called progressives or real liberals, but even they're carriers, and they are up in arms over this. It's like, no one's taking my guns. I may have voted for Joe Biden, but nobody's taking my guns. And in a deep red state where I live, and I'm saying deep red and in the middle of nowhere, everyone carries. Everyone carries. People carry in church here. So you've got, a whole demographic that is keyed up and kept up. And that's a dangerous thing when you got smart rednecks out there running around.
Jeff, you joined the group of people who are bearing arms a while back. I remember you sharing that with us on C5. It's getting really difficult to understand when you're complying and when you're not complying with all these various rules now that have to do with firearms.
Yeah, it's almost like it's by design, isn't it? Like they put all these rules into place to give the state more power to crack down on your right to bear arms. And this particular issue, really, I'm tired of these people. I am. How many people are dying in gang violence by people using pistol braces? The vast majority of gun violence is committed by people who obtain their guns illegally, and it's happening in urban neighborhoods where you have gang and drug violence. That's where most of it is happening. Banning pistol braces will not save a single life, and they know this. Yeah, I mean, you've got Illinois passing an assault weapons ban, and thank God you have some sheriffs who are out there saying, nope, we're not going to enforce it. But that's what they're trying to do here. And you know what here's what this is about. I tweeted this yesterday. When people trying to ban certain types of weapons or guns or accessories aren't trying to save lives, they're trying to make people feel good. They're trying to make it look like they're doing something about this issue when they really aren't, and they're really trying to stoke a lot of anti-gun sentiment so that they can continue this further. If they did manage to ban assault weapons, that's just a step in the next direction would be to ban handguns as well. They want to disarm responsible, law-abiding people, which only makes criminals even more emboldened. I had this debate with a guy yesterday, and he's just so terrified at the idea of regular people owning guns. I was like, no, you need to be afraid of the people who get them illegally and then victimize those people. You're taking away their right to defend themselves. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Jeez, Jeff, how much caffeine have you had today?
None. Wait until I get some coffee.
This man's fired up.
I don't think it's about making people feel good. I think it's more about, disarming the population to, easier to impose tyrannical government on the people. Maybe
either the government can fear the people or the people can fear the government. You can't.
But now we're really going to get banned for sure.
But this whole anti-gun, sentiment isn't just in the United States. You look up here in Canada. Justin Trudeau, he's been cracking down on guns especially over the last year. He recently imposed that national freeze on handgun sales. He's trying to ban hunter rifles, which is actually getting great opposition from members of his own party and the First Nations, which is a huge lobby now in Canada. So, this whole anti-gun is just part of the globalist initiative of trying to, enslave the population and ensure that they're easier to control and that they don't fight back against these authoritarian
I speak Canadian, so I'll let you know that First Nations mean what we would say Native Americans, just if you didn't know.
Well, hey,
remember, Joe Biden said we would need
if you're CBC, it's all First Nations. They constantly say First Nations.
I know. I was translating your Canada-ese into American English.
That's excellent.
But remember, Joe Biden said that we would need F-15s to fight against the government. So we might as well just let them take our guns since we can't get F-15s and be like Tom Cruise flying them.
That's one of the most ridiculous arguments because look at, not to go too much in foreign policy, look at Taliban in Afghanistan, look at the Al-Qaeda in Iraq. It's such a ridiculous argument to even suggest that. And how's that going to, appeal to anti-Second Amendment saying, oh, I can just kill you whenever I want? That's going to encourage more people to adopt gun ownership.
Scott, just last word since you're our resident specialist on this.
Go
ahead.
I expect that the appellate courts and the Supreme Court are going to rule in a manner that reflects the people who appointed them. To it, a pro-gun result is what I expect from the High Court.
You anticipated my very question. To keep and bear arms. It's getting more difficult every doggone day. You keep the faith, and we'll keep you posted. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform. YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble, we're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our TV productions. Special thanks to our fantastic editor and post coordinator, Frank Diorio, and our executive producer, Sarah Caldwell. I'm Lisa K. Donner, editor-in-chief. Thanks so much for joining us today. This has been a production of LibertyNation.com, where truth is making a comeback.